Are live. Hey, welcome. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporters and Stock Live for January 22nd, 2021. We are back with Light Holland, Todd Shapiro. Todd, welcome back.
Hi, Jack. How are
Todd, you? Okay, fantastic. You got a you're in a new location.
I am. Yeah, Jack. Thank you again so much for having me back. I really appreciate being on your program. Really wonderful stuff, quite frankly. You remind me of the Christopher Walken of finance. Has anyone ever told you? We're here. Wall Street Reporter. Light Holland is great company. Has anyone ever told you that before?
No, but I'm a big Christopher Walken fan.
I know you sound a lot.
Yeah, you actually
like him. It's good.
You do good impressions. We're gonna have, we should have like an ETF of an impression. We're actually a SPAC. Just forget about this. The truffle. We'll do a SPAC impressions.
The problem is all of mine sound like Christopher Walken, or is that? Yeah, I don't really do impressions at all, man. When I hear you, I'm like, you remind me of Christopher Walken, and I love him as an actor.
Listen, we're giving not only financial, we're getting entertainment value. People are going to be tuning in for this. This is going to be like the Kardashian show. This is going to be bigger because we're going to have the entertainment, the money making opportunity, and everything here, and we're going to give out free truffles.
Listen, man, I would love to give out free truffles, and I wish I could, have more markets for truffles, but we can get to that in a moment and look to what sort of different regions now all across the world are starting to talk about when it comes to this decriminalization movement, this legalization movement, and it seems very promising for what the future might look like outside of the Netherlands, where Light Holland is located. And all anybody has to do, Jack, is look to what's going on in Brazil right now, look to what's going on in Oregon for Measure 109. Actually, I had an amazing conversation because I do a little bit of a podcast too. I have a media background, which is why I practiced doing Christopher Walken in the past. But the thing is, man, is that David Bronner. Do you know who David Bronner is?
No. Is he Canadian?
No, he's not a Canadian at all. Okay. Actually, he is such a beautiful human being. He's really a hero in my eyes. So he has a company called Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps, and it's a soap company, and it's a company worth multiples of millions of dollars. But he's this total free spirit. He's made some really incredible initiatives, and he's a big part of the psychedelic movement. And his company has donated over $1 million to what happened in Oregon to help sort of this decrim and legalization movement, and of course, helping with the regulatory framework that's now being written over the next couple of years. So I did a podcast with him the other day. I do some stuff through High Times magazine, and I did a podcast. And right when he got off with me, we did like an hour chat, and anybody can go and get that on iTunes. Really good, really informative chat. I don't talk a lot. He does. He talks. He's like, I got to go. I got to cut this short. I'm like, listen, dude, it's been an hour. Don't worry about it. He had to go and speak to some regulatory bodies and authorities who are pushing the decrim movement in California. Oh, that's wow. That's a big market. That's a big market.
Yeah, that's a game changer. So, 2021, I mean, this year is really, I think this is going to be the inflection point, like the first inflection point of when, the psychedelics are about to go mainstream. Like you have the ETFs coming out, the psychedelic ETFs, which is, step one. Once the ETFs come out, that makes the sector, legit. And I think, we're starting to see, again, Oregon, you have to talk about California, you have some other areas. You have there's maybe they're not, what is it? You have the decriminalizing. Basically, it's kind of where cannabis was a few years ago, just right when things were about to start, just before mainstream. And probably next year is when, everybody's grandmother is going to be taking, microdose. This year, it's just going to be the early birds. But next year, it's going to be everybody's grandma, taking microdose.
You say that, Jack, and when I went to the
it's not a joke. It's because I think what's interesting. This is what I just read. This is fascinating. The whole COVID thing, it really is changing society a lot, and I think it's going to have a lot of, from what the research I've come across, is that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be turning to microdose and psychedelics as to solve whatever problems they have, psychologically, because it's really screwing people up. multiple aspects of it.
It's show and tell day on the Wall Street Reporter, right? Is it show and tell day today?
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? We're the people's company, you know that, and we're the company that's always come out very differently than I would say every other, maybe not every other, but like 97% of other psychedelic companies, where we said we're going to the Netherlands and we're dealing with a product that we can deal with legally right now, which is magic truffles. And if you're new and haven't heard of the company, we're selling them as iMicrodose packs. iMicrodose is our branding. You can see it right here. This isn't the show and tell part, but and the reason why I have a mask on is because I'm quarantining in St. Vincent, and I'll tell you why I'm in St. Vincent. I'm not vacationing, although it is a beautiful view. I wish I was vacationing. I'm working very hard. I need a vacation, but I figure I got a year before I take one. And so we started in the Netherlands by saying we are providing access through magic truffles that we are growing in our facility in Horst. And we grew our first batch, and now we're growing a second batch of 1 million grams, might I add, and expected 1 million. And we have always come out and said that we are providing access now. And a lot of people are like, whoa. And we're like, hang on a second. We're doing it responsibly. We're doing it with education, and we're doing it with information, and we're doing it with technology through virtual reality experiences, through augmented reality experiences, and through a wisdom truffle. And you can look all that up because I don't want to get into it because it's very long-winded, but very cool. But one thing, back to what you're saying about mental health. We sell merch, by the way. We expect merch to be about 20% of our revenue stream at some point. That's sort of our goal here, extra alternative revenue streams. And look at this. Look at this. I wrote this just today, okay?
Great. Exactly right. Because I say the same thing. We don't make recommendations on stocks. We don't make investment.
I can't make Jack. I can't make the medical claims, but what I can tell you, man, and what I can tell you, this last week has been really eye-opening for me. Okay, we traveled. It's tough to travel in these times, as you know. I'm reaching out to so many people on social media. I joked that I'm going to do I want to interview people, I said, I didn't joke, but I just kind of put it out there, who microdose. The overwhelmingly amount of responses I got from individuals to say, I want to talk to you about microdosing. I want to tell you about, I don't care that I'm doing it illegally because I'm not getting your product, which I would love to get in the Netherlands. We are now recording these. I've recorded 4. We're going to record. I have another 20 lined up. We're going to record a ton of them to hear regular individuals, a guy named David, a guy named Rob, an individual named Rowan, who I've interviewed already. These stories, I can't tell you these stories. I can just listen anecdotally what people are telling me about microdosing and how it has helped them tremendously. And I always say this, Jack, beyond what we want to do as a company, and we're sitting at a market cap now at about 125, 130 million, and beyond what this product that we're already producing, and beyond this expansion globally that we're looking into in Brazil, in St. Vincent, in Oregon, will things open up in California one day? What's going on in Canada? As we saw, precedents are being set, and we hired a public affairs team to try to start to speak to the government about how Red Light Holland can maybe represent. We publicly disclosed that. Most importantly, beyond all of that, it's about people, and we need to take care of people now. And I single-handedly started day one with this mission, and now have got a whole whackload of unbelievable Red Light Holland supporters who get this message about providing access without making the medical claims, but for looking out for people. And I'm telling you, man, you know what it feels like to me, Jack? I don't know if do you ever watch, do you ever or follow Barstool Sports?
No, but I've seen the thing. Yeah.
Dave Portnoy's awesome, right? Because Dave Portnoy never backed down on who he is, and he grew a business from next to nothing as a small blog out of the Massachusetts area into now a really, I think it's worth $1 billion because Penn owns a big chunk of them, Penn Casinos and Gaming. And I feel like we're becoming the bar stool of psychedelics, because every day I'm getting messages that come in, they reach out to me, we're buddies. Listen, it's time consuming, but I love communicating with as many people as I can. And we're just really hitting individuals on a real empathetic and emotional level, which is real and genuine. And quite frankly, I love it. And I love hearing from everyone who's supporting Red Light Holland. And I think that this mission is only beginning. And by the way, we're sitting with about 12 million cash that's unaudited, but we did release that back in December. We're doing another deal right now that it looks like was a bought deal from 5 million upsized to 8.5, anticipated to close in a little bit here, and that puts us at call it 22 million potentially. If we get to these numbers, I always think to myself, what would have Dave Portnoy done starting off a business with $22 million as opposed to growing it? This is really significant for our company, and I can tell you, man. If you think of us as the bar stool of psychedelics, I'm confident with that, and I'm proud of that. And thank you for everyone who's reaching out to me all over Canada, all over the United States, all over the world, saying, Todd, thank you for speaking as a regular person, not in academia, not a scientist, because the world's messed up right now, and without making medical claims, we want to do whatever we can to help it.
Okay, we got actually, the last couple of Todd, the last couple of live streams we've had a number of people saying that they've had some, serious benefits from using the magic, the truffles and everything else, and the psychedelics. And
look at that right in front of you, Gil. I'm a happy consumer from the Netherlands. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
If I knew how to say your name, I would take you right back. Gilles Scherfenly, thank you so much for you obviously found a way, whether it's through online at imicrodose.nl or through smart shops, and to a bot, the microdose packs. So thank you.
Oh, he's got a question for you. Can he pay? People here used to pay through Ideal. You know what the Ideal is? Can he pay through Ideal? It sounds like some sort of payment.
That's a great question. And Hans Derricks, who's our president in the Netherlands, I will speak to him and see if that's an opportunity for him to set up.
Excellent. So, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot of stuff happening. I mean, we're definitely kind of at the inflection point. I think. So I guess, what are you do? Okay, so first of all, I have two questions. One is, what are you doing in St. Vincent's? What's happening in St. Vincent's? And what is with the hat? Usually, you got the red light hat. What is this? Where is the red light hat?
It's, by the way, it's. I'll tell you what's going on in St. Vincent. It's hot here.
Oh wow!
I do not mean to rub that in. I live outside of Toronto in Canada, where there was like 4 feet of snow when we left, and I'm here for business. So let's talk about the hat first. I always wear the red light, merch. Always, I have it here. You can go to imicrodose.ca and buy merch. We'll ship it to you pretty much anywhere. I'm a fan of Drake. Do you know who Drake is?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard he's a Canadian, right?
Yeah. What do you mean you've only heard of him? You've only heard of him?
No, I don't know. I mean, I've seen his. I see him like all over the news. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know, like, one of the most popular. What do you mean you've only heard of him?
No, I actually. Todd, I'm not up on all the new stuff. I mean, I know. I mean, I see these people's faces, and I see, but I don't know what they're doing. I know he's building a huge. I saw the article. He's building a massive house crazy in Toronto.
Yeah, actually, I know a buddy who did the wiring of that house.
Which is like
one of my buddies did the wiring of that house, and they had to cut out holes between the beams to put in wood. And he brought me a little piece of the holes they cut out, and he put a picture of Drake on it. So I've technically kind of been in his house, but not really. I'm just an admirer of creators, Jack. And I actually used to, when I was in media, I used to kind of harp on Drake a little bit and have poke fun a little bit. And then you wise up and you grow older, and you just start to really respect and appreciate hard work and underdogs who've taken themselves to a different level. And I watch, what Drake has done. This is really single-handedly, probably other than Wayne Gretzky, the greatest Canadian success story of all time. He really put Toronto, the Six, on the map. He really just, took things past the point of being musician, originally a, small actor out of Canada too. And became this global superstar, and branding is so much a big part of that. And I get caught up in branding at times, and that's what I love, that people are buying the red Light Holland caps and t-shirts, and we have Chloe promoting them, who's a great influencer as well, which is fantastic for the company. And I just think about success, and the reason why I'm wearing the hat here is I look at everybody and I go, one piece of advice, if anyone could ever give it to you, it's look to those who work hard and watch their success grow. And that's the type of stuff, when I think of Drake, why I'm wearing his hat today, because it's about success, it's about expansion, it's about not just, doing one thing, but seeing what else you can do. And I'd like to think that, it's a message to everybody to go and do that yourselves. Last year at this time, Jack, I started to raise money for Red Light Holland privately. We maybe had at this time last year, maybe $600,000, maybe. Here we are now, fast forward a year later, we have, for sure about, again, it's all unaudited, but, call it close to 12 million, if not a little more. And then this bought deal that's looking to close, so call it, over 20. This is what passion gets you and hard work gets you. And that's why I'm wearing this hat today, to celebrate that, because it helped inspire me. And I'm really grateful to be where we're at today, to start now really, accomplishing things.
We got a couple of people asking, are you looking to partner with Drake? Is this like some sort of, is something happening with Drake?
Some people say that Drake's owl is like some sort of secret society sign. That's what they say. Oh, so maybe this is my way of contacting Drake right now. They're putting it in. No, dude, I've only met Drake a couple times, very, very briefly. This is not me knowing Drake at all. I'll be honest about that. But listen, we got Russell Peters, we got Chloe, we got Karim Rashid. We know people. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We've been mentioned on Joe Rogan.
He might be a customer. We got, let's see here. We got a couple I want to catch up on some of the audience questions. We got a bunch of questions coming in right now. Hang on. Okay, so let's start. I want to start with the first one. Here we go. What's happening with the first 1 million grams of truffles? And I don't know how to pronounce the name, but he's saying that maybe MindMed would be a customer for this.
I wouldn't say that MindMed would be a customer of it. The intentions, and all you have to do is look at our MD&A filings for the 1 million grams, is to distribute as our iMicrodose brand or as wholesale. That we're obviously growing. We have the know-how and the expertise. We've started the first batch, and we grew that successfully, and now the second batch. So yeah, that's sort of the intention for that.
Okay, here we go. Let's we got questions here. We got a super chat, Canadian super chat. Mikey is asking, do you see Red Light Holland getting on NASDAQ? Oh, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We got to get this.
It's really interesting to me when people always ask, are you going on the NASDAQ? Why do companies go on the NASDAQ? And a lot of people don't realize when you start to uplist and go to other exchanges, that costs the company a lot of money. A lot of listing fee money, a lot of legal fee money. And I just don't know always if that's the responsible thing to do. People think maybe it gets you more exposure, maybe it gets you with the big institutions and stuff. Quite frankly, I'm very, very happy to be where we are right now, because what does a company want to do when they're in this growth stage? You want to preserve as much capital as possible. And clearly we've proven that, some of the bankers are coming to us with bought deals anyway. So these uplisting things, sometimes I think they're misleading. And I think it can be a dangerous game, because why would you want to spend more capital than you have right now as opposed to using it to grow the business?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a little early, but I mean, look. I mean, I don't know, a year from now, the stock is moving. You've got revenues coming in. Lyndon is asking, what are your thoughts on putting organic or non-GMO on the microdose packs? That could have branding, possibly get more countries to legalize.
Well, it's interesting when it comes to more countries to legalize. We, like I said, we hired a public affairs team. Doing a bit of lobbying there. Our packs, we're very pleased with the way our packs look, and it's our first generation pack. So if you think of an iPhone, the first generation iPhone, things will evolve and things will change. And, we did it affordably, we did it quickly. And we think it looks unbelievable as an iMicrodose pack. It has contraindications on it. It has recommended, consumption. It talks about, obviously, just, like a whole slew of things in a leaflet in it that is not it's unheard of the way they sell truffles right now. So I think that over time, let's focus on selling the iMicrodose as it is. And of course, like I said, it's a Gen 1, and everything evolves.
So Todd, what? Okay, so you got about I don't know, was it 22 million sitting in the bank, or going to be sitting in the bank approximately. Last time you were on, we had you with Bruce Linton. This was one of our one of our most watched videos of 2020, and it was that was a fantastic video. So what is Bruce? I mean, what is Bruce recommending you do? How to deploy this growth capital?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Jack. And it's interesting, right? So you file a lot of stuff when you do these bought deals. So you can look at the preliminary prospectus when it talks about use of proceeds. So we've already kind of shown people like this is what we're doing. So I'm in St. Vincent right now. So when you're in St. Vincent, what are we doing here? Well, we're looking to acquire. We're in a non-binding LOI with a company called Mira Life Sciences that has a really unique psychedelic license by the St. Vincent government. And that's why we're down here to do our due diligence. So when we get this psychedelic license, if the deal closes, what will it allow us to do? Well, it allows us to cultivate, to extract, to process all sorts of plant-based medicines. Again, we're not talking about synthetics, right? We're talking about plant-based medicines here. So we can work with potentially ayahuasca, peyote, ketamine, MDMA, psilocybin, of course. So you want to build a lab. So we want to build a top-notch lab. You want to have personnel within the lab. So that's one of the goals that we have. If of course, we get to that point where it comes to fruition. There's still a due diligence phase. These things aren't always easy. Just so people know, on my end, people expect things to happen overnight. There's a lot that goes into closing deals. And listen, we're working as hard as we can to close deals, including, traveling in a time where most people are afraid to travel, because I'm representing all of my shareholders to say, I'm not just making an announcement, I'm out here trying to close a deal. So we're looking forward to using some of the funds for that lab. Oregon's the same thing. We talk about working with Halo Labs, which, and I'm a big fan of Halo Labs, by the way. And here we are creating a joint venture. You use some use of proceeds there to set up a facility in Oregon. Brazil, we've announced Brazil. So there would be some funds dedicated to Brazil. Think about global expansion. Marketing. Listen, I'm a big marketer. I think everybody can see that already. Marketing is a really key piece to growing a business and a consumer goods product and selling it. So, there will be funds used for that. And to be honest, man, we ran a really tight ship, Jack. Our, burn rate is really, really great. I'm so proud of our team, and it's a very small team. We're going to look to increase personnel. In fact, I was thinking about, I don't know how I do this. Like, if you want to work for Red Light Holland, seriously reach out to me. We will be looking for people. And you might have qualifications that I'll be looking for anyway, or we as a team will be looking for. And what I want is someone who's watching this, is passionate about it, and wants to work for the company. Because if you get passion plus work, that's where you get your best results. Not just someone on a resume who finds you because you filed it and posted it somewhere. I want someone who's passionate to change the world potentially, which is our mission.
Todd, let's jump into some audience questions. We got a couple minutes here. But so St. Vincent, this deal is going to be wrapping up soon. We don't know when, but soon.
Listen, I have to quarantine. Okay, so I got, I think, another 10 days or something on quarantine. They come and they give you the tests, and they stick the thing up your. It's like it's like a lot. But then we meet the team, and then we meet the government. We're actually going to meet with Minister Cesar Sabato. I should have actually had him come on this, like he's the Minister of Agriculture here. So we have meetings set up with the government. We will look at the legislature. Like, this is really, really cool stuff, but it takes time, because it's, this could potentially, we think, be very big if we get it done.
Let's see if we can get a bunch of questions. We got about 5-6 questions we can grab here. I don't know how, whatever the name is. What's the biggest obstacle you see psychedelics becoming legalized for recreational use?
So, that's a great question. And I think what's going to happen is people are going to take a hard, long look at this. And it's those that are doing the pure medical plays. And they're going to look and go, well, we got to protect what we're doing. And then I look at individuals and I ask them, I go, well, listen, do you want big pharma controlling how you have access to natural-based plants? And so I ask people, people who are responsible adults through education and information. Do you just want to be prescribed something because a doctor is telling you to do so? Or do you want to use anecdotal experiences from your friends and from your family, from natural products that they've already used, and fight for it that you should have that access? So, you know, I actually don't see obstacles. I don't see hurdles. My brain doesn't work that way. I only see optimism. And the optimism that I see is in the strength of the consumer who wants to use natural products responsibly, and then tell the government authorities themselves why they think they should have access. And by the way, if you use this responsibly and start to realize about, you know, where are the contraindications, and I'm still waiting for people to tell me about this, you're going to see that this is, like, really, without again making the medical claims, something that we're going to hear a lot from. And I'm already getting these iMicrodose chats right now from individuals that I'm going to publish and put out there, not as a company, but as a person, to show you what people's experiences are. It's about social movements, Jack, and the social movements to me are what lead to the optimism.
No, definitely. This is okay. So we got a question. Are you going to be doing crop rotations with the truffles? What is the potential harvest count annually?
So it's really interesting. I think a lot of people love to compare growing truffles to growing cannabis. I think that's just an immediate kind of connotation or analogy that people like to do. And the truth is this, you know, it's nothing like it at all. Meaning that there's a lot of potential to grow a lot of truffles. I'd like to think that our facility can grow up to 10,000 kilograms of truffles in an annual basis. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity that if you set up other facilities in other places, you know, potentially, again, we're far away from that. I have to be careful. You know, I don't want to mislead anyone. We're still in non-binding agreements with Brazil, with Oregon and Halo, and of course, what we're doing in St. Vincent. But if you could start getting little pockets all across the world with, you know, facilities and labs, I that's where I see the potential here. But yeah, it's a process that we can do. We know how to do. We've done, and you don't need a ton of working capital to make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting what's happening now. It's like it's almost like the same playbook as cannabis early on. You know, you get sort of all of a sudden starts going, and then it goes like a massive wave. Okay, we got AR asking, how would you go about getting Dave Portnoy involved? Can Russell Peters go on Pizza Review to get involved with the red light? Okay, this guy's in the Eskimo land, the dogs, sled dogs.
Oh, that looks beautiful, man. As gorgeous it is in the backdrop here, and you can see the ocean behind me. I love the snow, man. I do. You know, listen, I've interviewed Dave Portnoy before, a few times. I worked on Sirius XM. He worked on Sirius XM. You know, Chloe, who's our brand ambassador, knows Dave Portnoy. I'm not hinting or alluding that Dave Portnoy is in this kind of, hey, how can he help Light Holland? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that at some point, you know, you think about connections and celebrity connections, and is there a fit? And of course, my mind always likes to think about any individual on this world who potentially has some sort of fame, because that's what drives branding these days. We all know that could help out. Could it happen? We're not talking, that's, you know, so, but, you know, could it? I mean, there's potential. Again, I'm an internal optimist. I think there's potential for anything in this world. And of course, on his side, if you were to talk to Dave Portnoy and the person who asked the question knows him, he would say, well, what's the price right away? So, you know, like, you know, if there's a right fit for anything, you never know.
Dingy's asking, when is Kareem Rashid going to release the magic truffle design? Or I guess not. It's the, what do you call it?
It's the wisdom truffle.
Wisdom truffle.
So I should even show. Can I do this? I can maybe even show first. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. Yeah, I'll do it. I don't care. I'm going to show first drafts. Can I do that through my phone?
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm trying to do this real quick. So we're going through, actually, it's second drafts right now. We are working closely with, it's actually Karim, like Karen, but Karim Rashid. I always got the name wrong too. The other day, he's like, Todd, it's Karim. I'm going to pull out what I can show you. We have first, you know, we're going through these great drafts. It's like super cool about the tech that we're going to, you know, look to put in it. You know, I don't know if you could see, like, there's some drafts there. So, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but, you know, we're working very diligently on that. And I think we're expecting, you know, in terms of it being manufactured and produced by the end of the year.
Todd, I think we just lost, we had a lost connection for like a second here.
Okay.
The video went, okay. So So you were saying on the Karim, how do you pronounce it?
Karen, like Karen, but M.
What's happening there? When is he going to have the design?
Yeah. So did you see
No,
what I showed you?
As you were about to, okay.
I showed like there's. I don't want to show too much. There's a lot of them, but
it looks
it
looks very.
These are, this is really.
But
this is really cool stuff. Like it illuminates light. It's going to have like, a place for your phone to hold in it because it's all about encouraging an microdose lifestyle.
What is that going to sell for?
Well, we're going to have 3 sizes is the intention. So you're going to have a very affordable one to start. You're going to have a medium-sized one. And then, for the ballers, they're going to have a big one in like their super penthouse in New York. And it's going to be a huge conversation piece. That's the total intention here for this thing. I think something like this takes time to do it right. And when you're dealing with, one of the top designers in the world, you don't rush him. And I think I should know this offhand. If you check our MD&A, we either said Q3 or Q4 for anticipated release of 2021.
I think we talked about this before, but this is like one of these things. What you're doing is actually very clever. Like you're kind of starting out with these sort of little branding, like I don't know. It's sort of like planting these seeds in people's minds, and this could become like one of these collectible type things. Like it's like we talk about the Supreme that do these. Again, I know Supreme like I know what's his name, Drake. I kind of vaguely understand like. But I do see what it's this weird collection that have going on. It's like you're tying into that kind of culture, basically the subculture of the whole, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the sneakers, the skateboards, that whole universe.
You have to. Yeah. No one should ever start a company these days that sells consumer good products and not think about how you brand that as well. If you're doing that, and a little piece of advice for you, if you're not thinking about how it's branded and how a lifestyle is created with it on top of it, like I said, a brand is always, in my opinion, more valuable than a commoditized plant. And if you can create that and do that well, this is what a significant difference will be for a company like Light Holland. We're doing that right out of the gate while supporting science, while looking to build a lab in St. Vincent, while, trying to expand globally, while, of course, waiting to see what regulatory bodies do and see how decrim movements and legalization movements happen. So this is the key, and we're very excited because, to be honest, it's we can tell it's effective in just the viral sensation of people reaching out, of the amounts of thousands of people watching videos. And look at small cap companies. They don't get the kind of social media interaction that we get, at least not that I've seen.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months. This is going to be a big thing. We got a question. How to contact you to provide you their story on the microdosing?
Oh, I would love for you to contact me. Last time I gave my cell phone number out, and then I got a really interesting message. Someone said, you might not want to do that because as you get busier and as you grow, you're not going to have time for everybody. But screw it. 647-204-7129. You can call me, text me. I'll get back to you. WhatsApp me. It's a little easier because I'm overseas right now. Or we can just email me, DM me on Twitter. I am Toddy Tickles. It's got the little verified thing, whatever that means. And it's an old radio name, but please contact me. I'm doing a lot of media lately. Speaking of which, Jack, what a great segue.
ETF, the ETF.
No. Oh. So back in September, we put out a press release. We were in the Netherlands. I met Hans. We were growing our first crop, and we had a film crew from Canada follow us to the Netherlands and document what we were doing in this documentary that we press released and said would be out in early January, or early 2021. Well, guess what? It's early 2021 on Monday night in Canada. If you're in Canada, for your Canadian viewers, City TV.
Right now are Canadian. This is probably 80% watching this are Canadian.
What's up, I can't believe I just did that terrible joke. Sorry about that. City TV, which is owned by Rogers, massive, major, one of the biggest networks. Think of your CBS or ABC, whatever you got there. Did a documentary, and we're one of 4 featured stories. Light Holland. They came to our facility. They came to our launch party. They interviewed me. They interviewed Hans Derricks, our president. They interviewed Russell Peters. They actually went to LA to Russell's home, global sensation Russell Peters. So that is airing at 9 p.m. on Monday on all City TV networks and 10 p.m. Central. So I mean, I think great exposure for the company. And by the way, we didn't pay for that. We don't pay for that. You know, that's earned media.
Yeah, no, that's actually that ties in actually to, so okay, so there's gonna be a lot of stream visibility coming up. And what about the ETF? Now you have the ETF launching. I think you're gonna be in this ETF, right?
I don't know where the confirmation of that is, but I do follow what people are sending me. And a lot of people have been sending me that red light Holland looks to be a big part of this ETF. I know we fit all the requirements that was filed in their prospectus. I think it goes under Psych S PS. What is it? PS I don't know. PSYK. PSY. I think it's PSYK. PSYK exactly. And so yes, I've heard, I can't confirm, but I've heard we're a big chunk of it, you know, 8%, 9%. Again, I don't have confirmation, but if you look what's put out there on Twitter, that's exactly what's being told. And I know we definitely meet all the requirements. You look at our daily volume, you look at our market cap, and you obviously, I think what people realize is you look at the fact that, you know, the ETF isn't only sort of medical or pharmaceutical plays. They talk about being sort of psychedelics as a whole. And you know, we fit in that sector, but we do it differently. And I think we do it great.
Yeah, no, this is going to be this. I think this is going to be really, again, this is, you know, one of the things one of the things that we look for is, you know, companies that are at an inflection point. So not only is the company at an inflection point, the whole theme is at an inflection point where you have the ETFs launching, you have kind of the mainstream. I mean, like there's more and more mainstream. There's big tailwinds for psychedelics in 21, and it's going to be, you know, it's really going to be tremendous. So it's very exciting to see what. Excuse me, what you are, you know, what you're doing here, and I think this Kareem Rashid thing, I'm mispronouncing the guy's name, the whole branding thing, like, you know, I guess if I'm not articulating properly, but like you're trying essentially to kind of be the, you know, the Red Bull of, you know, the psychedelic space, and yeah, that's a very powerful branding proposition, because nobody else in the psychedelic space has a brand. There's no brands out there.
It's first mover advantage, Jack. We're very privileged. You know, I'll look at anyone in the eye right now, and I wish I could meet people face to face. I totally miss that. I have this dream in like 2 years of just throwing this kick-ass red light, you know, party. You know, right, proper set and setting, of course. But you know, this is the way I like to think. You know, wait. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, COVID's really been a very, very tough time for people, man. It is a, can I swear, it's a shitty world right now, unfortunately. Like, it's really difficult world for people, and check in with your friends and check in with your family. And a lot of people are lonely and putting up fronts that they're okay. But, you know, people should be talking to people every day about helping and, you know, making sure that everyone's doing okay emotionally and, you know, mentally. So, you know, we're there for people as a company. And I guess what I'm getting at here, you know, back to what you're talking about in branding, it's like, it's about community, man. And I want to build this community from day one. And I love the fact that our company isn't afraid to do that. And I look at some of the big pharma companies, and I look at people who are their staff, and I look at some of the people they partner with. And, you know, they all talk sometimes about this synthetic route and prescribed medications. And yet, you know, I guarantee you, you know, 80% of them have all tried magic mushrooms in the day. So like, doesn't that sound elitist? You know, if we start to think in the world about how many people have actual access to healthcare, or actual access to doctors, or could even afford to take 3 hours out of their day to go and see a doctor to get a prescription. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a prescription model, and maybe an iMicrodose one day could be prescribed to you because of the way we've already put it out there as a packaging with contraindications, et cetera, and consumption usage, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, for me, it's about, if we don't think of ourselves as a one big community and hopefully being able to help and, you know, being able to get this access now, then I think, you know, we're not doing the world a service, and I want to do the world a service.
Excellent. So Todd, let's wrap up. We're running a little bit late.
Let's go. Let's keep going.
We have another guest on, but we're gonna have you back probably next week, I think, or once you have news. What to wrap up? What else is in the pipeline in terms of news flow? Oh, you got a lot of merch there.
Jack, one thing I can tell you is, I'll be careful I say it, I don't stop working. I don't stop creating. And what's really great is, let's be honest, if you're any company in this world, if they know that you got 12 million sitting in the bank, and you know, you potentially have another 8, 10 coming. You know, with you know, the 8.5 bot deal that's been announced, and obviously looking to close on that. People come to you. So you know, think about it in anything in life. If you have more money than your buddies, they come to you to help, you know, pay for lunch for them. So you know, when you have money and other companies know you have money and they're not public yet, they come to you. So opportunities continually present themselves, and it's my job as the CEO, it's Hans's job in the Netherlands as our president, and it's our CFO's job to really carefully weigh everything that's being presented to us. And on top of all the stuff that we've already announced, I'm really excited by the doors opening up and the avenues and this path to even more. And trust me, when I have that ability to go to the market and tell people things, and do it without, you know, this careful selective disclosure stuff that you have to be very cautious of, I will do that when I can.
Yeah, and just, I mean, basically right now you're still wrapping up the capital raise, so there's a limit to how much you can talk about.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm glad we had you back on. You know, I think this is the first time we had you back on in 21. So it's good, you know.
Thanks, buddy.
To get the update. We got a lot. Wow, we got a lot of people watching here. So I think,
listen,
you know,
anytime I can hang out with Christopher Walken for like 45 minutes an hour, it's like, it makes my day. No,
this is going to be I'm going to make some extra. Yeah, what is he, in his 70s now, right? I think he's up there.
Oh yeah. You're the younger. You're the younger. You know, you're the Christopher Walken of finance, baby. Thank you, Jack, and thank you to everyone. I really mean it. You know, I by the way, I'm a very anxious guy, just so you know. Okay, and sometimes you see my energy, and it's anxious energy, a lot of it. Especially when I'm in camera, and it's always something I've been uncomfortable with, even though I did do it as a career before. And so, you know, I guess what I'm getting at is, you know, I really want to be as transparent as possible. I really want to be as open to all of you. And if you want to have more questions in a easier sort of setting, where maybe, you know, the anxiety and the energy is a little bit calmer and we can actually just talk, I'm going to make my time for you. So if you have any follow-up questions, please reach out. And if it's not me, it's someone on our team that can talk to you. So thank you again.
Okay, Todd, you know, I'm going to ask one last question, because this is our standard question to wrap up with. You know, right now, you know, we have the cash sitting in the bank. You know, top 3 reasons for investors, you know, to consider Red Light Holland today, in your opinion.
Well, listen, I mean, I think we have a path to profitability right out of the gate, and we've shown that with the product on shelves. And I think it obviously takes time to grow that product into, you know, potentially other markets. And if other markets open up the way we think other markets can open up, well, then I think it, you know, lends itself very well by being a first mover advantage. I think that, you know, we talk about branding, and if you like branding, and if you think of Supreme, or if you think of Red Bull, or if you think of Drake and October's Very Own, or any of these types of companies that have great branding that ultimately end up doing well, is that, you know, people end up telling people about brands, and then you save money as a company by having to promote that brand, by getting behind us, by the Barstool Sports of psychedelics. If you all get behind us, then you help us save money to grow that brand. So that's what I encourage, and I see a lot of people getting behind us. So that's number 2, and I think number 3 is, you know, I think that there's a human element to investing, and I think that there's a human element to companies. And, you know, I mentioned a guy like David Bronner earlier, and Dr. Bronner Soaps, and I think there's a human element to us, and I don't think anyone should ever underestimate a human element. It's not to say that, you know, we don't want to have great bottom line and incredible revenues, but, you know, a human element is what grows companies in this day and age further than that old school, you know, khaki pants and tucked in shirt, and, you know, let's go to the private golf course after James. Like, no, it's about having a human element, and we have that.
Excellent. Todd, on that note, I want to thank you, and you know, we'll look forward to hearing
more.
Expansion.
I mean, let's talk about global expansion. I mean, I could get in, like, you know, if Brazil, there's a lot of people in Brazil. There's, you know, if we get to these, you know, the goal is over the next few months here, you're going to see, you know, my goal is to have really lots of substance to talk about.
Excellent. Todd, on that note, I want to thank you, and we'll catch up with you on the next live stream.
iMicrodose.ca. Go get your hats.
Microdose.ca. All right.
Yeah, and if you're in Netherlands, iMicrodose.nl. Go and grab your microdose packs. Give us some reviews. Let us know what you think. It's all about you. You microdose because. And by the way, remember this, Jack. One more thing before I go, okay? And I'm going to start selling these.
No, we can't make right. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good one.
See you next one.
Okay. Really.
Okay. Wow. This is great stuff here. Okay, let's get ready for our next 10 bagger or 100 bagger super stock. These things are moving. Wow, we got I think Trip is making new highs. Let's get ready for Visby. Hang on, let me just pull up this over here. Okay, and Jay.
Good morning, Jack. Hello.
Fantastic. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I just want to get I want to get I want you to get more in the camera. I want I guess or more or okay. Okay. Or okay, perfect. Okay, fantastic. Okay.
All right, I won't move.
Can you get the camera like so it's like in front of you? I think instead of down. Oh yeah. Okay. Good. I want to get you at your best angle here.
Face made for radio.
We have another guy from radio. We got another Canadian. We have this is the all Canada channel. We're going to change the name from Wall Street Reporter to like
Canuck Vision,
Bay Street or what? House Street. Sure. Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream. Again, January 22, we got VSBLTY Groupe, VSBY, VSBGF back with us. Jay Hutton, the CEO. Jay, again, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
A lot of Jay, the stock has been again moving up tremendously. I think since you first appeared. I mean, it looks like it's coming back to making new highs right now. I know it's been a bit of a consolidation phase. I know everybody likes to see these stocks go up, every day 10%. It's not, the world doesn't work that way. Sometimes they have to, take a rest before they increase, 500% again. But here's what's interesting is you've had, the last 6 weeks, I think you hit that inflection point. VSBLTY has kind of hit that inflection point in December. You started announcing these major partnerships. The market's been reacting. You got this new deal with the Skypackets that was announced, which can you explain? Actually, I think before we talk about Skypackets, we got a lot of new people again. The audience is growing. So in a nutshell, can you explain, what VSBLTY does maybe, and if you want to show us the video, and then we'll talk about all the new stuff.
You asked me to key up a video, so I'll do that, and then I'll speak over that video. Just give me 1 second here.
Let's get this over here.
So I'm gonna open up this video. Let me know when you can see it, Jack.
Okay. I think we got it coming up here. Okay, so this is going to kind of show us. I think it's important for the audience to understand, like exactly, because your technology, they got to see it. So you do the talking now.
Sure. I mean, we're talking about two pieces of business. VSBLTY is more than anything the ability for we build software that teaches cameras how to interpret what they see. On this particular display, you've got a retail display, which is measuring all the consumer engagement. You've got a cooler in grocery that's measuring all the consumer engagement, transparent, but also display capable. You can see the product through the screen. This is part of the about what we're doing with Embera, a press release made, maybe a month ago, Jack, you'll remember. So we're now building all these components into Embera, the largest cooler manufacturer in the world. This is the type of data that we collect. This happens to be a casino application. I should probably stop it there because that's kind of germane. I'll stop it there for a moment, Jack, if you don't mind. This is the kind of thing, just an example of the kind of thing we pick up from cameras in real time. We run inference logic on cameras. This is software. So that software can actually in real time inform the promotion or whatever you're collecting the data for, exactly what's happening in physical space. And I like to say this, even though it's maybe a bit of an obscene comment. We do for bricks and mortar what Google did for the internet in 1992. We create measurement, physical person measurement, actual number of people, which can also be called in the advertising world, advertising glossary, impressions. but we also deliver demographic data, as you can see there. And we do that for retail and for security applications. I'm now playing the video again.
Okay.
Some examples of how we report it here. Of course, as we've talked about before, we have considerable exposure. Another deployment we did with Moet Hennessy, our largest champagne manufacturer in the world. And now we're pivoting to the second side of the business, which is our vector business. This is our security business. So in the same way our retail software can determine relevant statistical data for retail advantage, we can also do it for persons of interest, as you see right there, alert on the person of interest, but also things like objects, like weapons, fires, car accidents. We count vehicles, we look for license plates. All of those are now rapidly evolving into the security space. And the two marketplaces that we sit in are leveraging computer vision for various types of applications. And that's why we as an organization are at this major inflection point right now. Sure, we've got a couple of political hurdles to overcome in the US, and frankly, that's why you're going to find our organization to be heavily focused on marketplaces that have a more aggressive and welcoming approach to facial recognition technology, though it should be.
You know what? I think it's funny. We were, like a few months ago, I would have agreed. Now, I think the U.S. is we're at a point where it's going to be ready for embracing the security aspect of what you're doing, like very rapidly.
It's funny you should say that. We look back on inflection points, and an inflection point for our business was the Capitol riots. Believe it or not.
Yeah. No, things are happening in the U.S., which is like, I don't know, but
it's subterranean, right? It's happening at under the surface level. But I didn't want to talk about this today, but we got calls from a segment of the society which is very interested in security, US based. Yeah. And I think you and I, Jack, have talked a lot about why we basically avoided the US because it's just too hard. It's just too hard to try and penetrate your product with all the political headwinds. They are easing considerably now. And think about schools, critical infrastructure. That's what's immediately next for us. Deployments and partnerships in each of those categories will be a major theme for us in 2021.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I mean, like, I want to get into like the economics, because I think this is the thing, people need to understand the economics, and then I would dive into the Skypackets, because you have these. Somebody just put this up here, 3 pillars, which is interesting. Where is this comment? There was an audience comment here. Yeah, okay. So it's very interesting that what you're doing is, your technology essentially it covers these massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. You have the consumer, you got the measurement, you got the advertising, the marketing, and at the same time you have the security aspect, which in the US I believe is probably going to catch on pretty soon. But in Latin America, it's a big driver. That's driving the sales for you, right?
Absolutely. Latin America is the shining star for us, but the US is not far behind. We're seeing adoption happening in the US, of course, influenced heavily by current events. Right. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, this is like, I don't want to get into the political stuff. I personally, anyway. What's interesting is you had the whole Capitol thing, and they apparently the FBI is like rounding up these guys because they saw them all on video, and they're able to match with whatever they're matching with databases. But apparently without the video, without having cameras everywhere, they wouldn't have been able to do this. All of a sudden, I think now the government is
what a great example.
This is all of a sudden.
Right. It's a great example of why we're different. If you use facial recognition, you're typically, and Capitol riots investigation is a perfect example. You're using it forensically. When the horses left the barn, you're trying to find out how the horse got out. So in the Capitol riots application, they're taking social media images and they're matching that social media to live, stored video images collected during the Capitol riot. That's perfectly acceptable and a reasonable use case for facial recognition. But here's why we're different. We do that in real time. You have 50 people that you're concerned about. You tell the cameras to proactively look for these people in real time, and you alert on their presence. So we're not forensic. We're not investigatory. We're real time analysis and alerting. Right. So it's preventative. Exactly right. And that's where the big investment is. Jack, one of the things I wanted to say to you and why I think our timing is critically important right now. Just look at the USA market for security services and monitoring. Currently, that's about $100 billion annual marketplace. By 2025, this marketplace, I'm talking about total addressable market, USA security services, 100 billion today, 187 billion by 2025. It's almost going to double. And the bulk of that, and this is critical to our value proposition, the bulk of that new spend will be on AI capable infrastructure. The days of dumb cameras just delivering video feeds that are inert, benign, and kind of useless, those days are gone. And the days of real-time analytics while the video is being streamed into the system, that's where this business is going. And we're an early player.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's funny. We should. I guess again, we have to. We should mention that essentially your technology, the AI, captures the image and compares behavior. Jay, can you kind of again walk us through the data that you get and the analytics and how all that works?
We have over 100 algorithms that can run on processors. Those processors can be on local compute, near proximity close compute, or on the camera itself. And we run things like license plate detection, face detection, facial recognition, sentiment detection, demographic detection, a fire in the field of view, a car accident in the field of view, a weapon in the field of view. There's over 100 of those algorithms in our library. And part of what we do is we say to the customer, what do you want to run? What do you want to look for? And by the way, what you might want to run on Friday night at an event might be different than what you want to run Saturday. So part of our whole ethos is, this is crazy to use this term in security software, but drag and drop interface where you can pull algorithms from the library to the camera and then bang, start running them. Unheard of technology, no code interface, no requirement for super educated operators, just the ability to drag and drop like you would to a Dropbox or something like that. So we've got enormous opportunity. We've made it simple because we're trying to grab on to that $87 billion of growth, which is in the next 5 years. And this is where it's all coming from, in my opinion.
Okay, so we got an audience comment here. Yeah, the value is going to be the data, the data, the behavioral data, the AI data. And that's going to, and again, the more every day the company becomes valuable just by virtue of the data you're collecting. And again, it's like the big data company, the big tech, big data companies. That's what makes them valuable. So this is
you've made that comment, I think, quite correctly before, that on the retail side, data about one visit to one store at one time is useless. But a visitors coupled or combined over time, over multiple locations, now you've got millions and tens of millions of impressions, enormous value that comes from that. Think of an example that's just very basic. We do a deployment for Pepsi and a deployment for Coca-Cola in 25 cities. Now we have that data that will allow us and us alone to be able to draw conclusions about how each of those products have as terms of an influence on their customers and the velocity connected to their sales cadence. We only have that idea. So we have that data, and it's our data alone, independently monetized, owned by Visibility. And you can extrapolate that to other campaigns across other brands as we scale.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I think one of the key things is for investors is again, to use the hockey term, that you want to be where the puck is heading. The way Wayne Gretzky say, where it's heading, not chase after. And right now the puck is heading. All the tailwinds are heading towards you right now.
It's very audience aware of you, Jack, to use a hockey reference for a predominantly Canadian audience. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I've been using this for a long. Right now, for some reason our audience has flipped. It's like 80% Canadian now. It used to be 80% US, and last couple of 6 months. So I'm not going to complain because the best stock are
right. Yeah.
So what? Okay, we got some great comment again. I got to get to this the Skypackets, but I want to cover some questions because these are very interesting here. Intel. So one thing is, you're not a hardware play, right? It's a software play.
We're software, yes. Yeah. So, Jack, you've frozen up, but the software that we use runs on a processor. That processor can be located on a general compute, as we all understand compute, or it can sit on a camera itself where the compute runs on the camera. This is perhaps the most important evolution in where compute occurs. It used to occur exclusively and every time in a data center. Think of Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, and now we're moving the compute closer to the edge. It got close to the edge with a local computer, and now it's getting on the edge itself, running on the camera. So we empower that software that runs on the camera or on the local compute.
Okay, so it's AI software, no hardware. What's the connection with Intel about that?
Well, this question here is, what can we say about the Intel connection? Will Intel become a visibility? Well, we've disclosed this. Intel is our largest customer right now. We did the most amount of revenue in 2020 with Intel, and that's already been disclosed. And we'll do more. Our relationship with Intel is getting considerably more commercial. I think I've said this to you before, we do a lot of business with a lot of very large companies, which means that we can be super strategic to them, but they're enormous and we're not. They tend to drive the cadence of disclosure, and that's okay. We just have to deal with that. That's part of the downside possibly of doing business with such large companies. But look for us to do 2 major initiatives with Intel, perhaps 3 in the short term here, and I'm very excited about this, about that, those set of circumstances. And the fact that they view us as strategically as they do is, to me, exciting. And we'll be doing a lot of revenue with them this year because of that. Yeah.
Okay. Jay, I want to ask you about the Skypackets.
Yeah.
I think the market, I think it seems like it's something very substantial and important, but the market, when it first came out, the market didn't really react. So explain exactly what this news means.
Like everything, I think we've got to sort of decode or decrypt.
Whenever you put out a lot of your news, the market doesn't really kind of react until you
I'll try to do better.
A week later, a month later.
Well, in fact, Skypackets is a great example of some benefit that Intel has brought to us. Intel introduced us to Skypackets, and Skypackets was part of the Mexico Wi-Fi initiative. I think I've talked about this before, where the old way of building a security network is cellular modems, where every single camera has its own connection to the cellular network. The new way, think of 1/10 of the cost, is to build a metropolitan Wi-Fi network, kind of like the stuff we have in our homes, but bigger. Skypackets is one of the leading purveyors of Wi-Fi networks for metropolitan centers. So we brought them into the Mexico deployment. Intel brought them in. We redesigned all of Mexico, and we've now supplanted the old way of doing things, point-to-point cellular, with Wi-Fi 6 mesh. Wi-Fi 5 is the stuff we have in our homes. Wi-Fi 6 is the next generation of Wi-Fi. Think of bigger, broader, faster. And we've connected our camera network to a Wi-Fi 6 infrastructure. And now, having done that with them in Mexico, we go back to Skypackets, who count among their customers Google, business improvement districts, including New York City, and including multiple transit authorities. Now, remember, they're delivering Wi-Fi capability. So they've got a network in place. What's the first thing you want to put on the network in terms of unique applications that leverage that network? The first thing is security. So they've got their customers for whom they've already deployed a network that we're now going to them with Skypackets to say, okay, we're going to layer security on this network now. it's a very easy progression. And that's why I can say with confidence, the Skypackets deal will generate revenue to us this quarter with very well-known customers. So we're excited about that. But we worked with them for 6 months in Mexico. So it's not like they're new to us. So there's anything we have to do in terms of proof of concept. That's already behind us.
Okay. So they were referred to by Intel. I mean, you know,
Yes.
it's a strong validation. Okay. So and if you can, okay. So also talk about a little bit about the deployment in Mexico. Like, in other words, you have the kind of, it's the security, the marketing thing. What are you doing there? Like, which cities is deployed in? And I think maybe just, if you want to, Jay, if you want to just bring up some of the case studies, kind of the success that the cities have had with you know, using your technology.
Sure. There's 8 of the 11 municipalities in Mexico City that are running our systems. Some have just begun to deploy, and some of them are fully deployed. The highlights would be Benito Juarez, who have the greatest density. Coajimalpa, which is a region of Mexico City. Mexico City, like Manhattan, is carved up into multiple boroughs with independent mayors in each of those boroughs. They call them counties. One example is Adrian Ralacluva, and I probably just butchered his last name, but he's a 38-year-old mayor of Coajimalpa, where they went from the 11th safest county in Mexico City to the safest in 13 months with a 40% crime reduction, because he has something like 1,600 cameras deployed right now. And we're right now, because there's been instances where the facial recognition picked up on a bad guy, and we were able to dispatch law enforcement, and you know, everything worked precisely as it was meant to work. And so we're case studying those right now. We're going to create some supporting material, because that's exactly how you tell the story. Now, to Adrian, there's a certain value to increasing the safety of your community, no doubt about it. That's in and of itself, that's a reasonable outcome. But as these things go, he's going to get reelected. He's going to get reelected. You know, there's a certain outcome there. And this is why when we market our services to mayors across Mexico, we use Adrian as our standard bearer, right? As our flagship, because they all want to get reelected. What's happened as a result of the Intel involvement in the Mexico project, which I referred to earlier, is we've now built a reference configuration using Wi-Fi 6, which means that we can take this as a cookie cutter approach and now pop it into other municipalities in Mexico, like we're doing in Juarez, or like we're doing in the Cancun region right now, and elsewhere in Latin America. The value there is the second half of that piece. Now that we've got a reasonable, scalable, workable model that comes in at 1/10 of the cost as traditional models, we now have the ability to deploy security and surveillance, as well as public utilities in places that they couldn't previously afford it. And that's what's critical about when Intel gets involved. We solve for scale, right? We solve the problems associated with scale, because they bring to us incremental partners that will help us address those topics.
Jake, can you talk about so let's talk about the economics of all the different aspects. So in terms of, in Mexico right now, you have the kind of, there's the, you know, the thing, you're doing the security part. Are these also, is there a marketing element with this deployment also? Is it tied in or no?
In the deployment for security in Mexico City, the surveillance network with our partner Radar, what's there right now is the POI, the demographics, people counting, and we're moving now to license plate recognition and fire and accident. So we're adding algorithms for public utility. It starts with security and then expands to more capabilities in the public utility space. What we're doing here is we're increasing the stickiness, Jack. So the municipality gets an outcome, a law enforcement outcome, and that's valuable. But now we also give them operational outcomes, which increase our stickiness. And by the way, our revenue model is so much per algorithm. You want to look for car accidents? That costs you so much per camera per month. You want to look for license plate detection? So much per camera per month. So it's a a la carte menu.
Okay. So, and also, but at the same time, in Mexico, you had the deal with what is it? Is it Modelo, right? Where you're doing the same thing.
Modelorama
Retail stores with
Modelorama
security.
Yeah, Modelorama has some overlap capabilities with what's going on in Radar, and Radar is a component supplier to that network, so we've got a consistent story and vision there. But what Modelorama is, as opposed to the smart city application, are three discrete things: visual display, which by the way is module one of what Visibility does, content management system; shopper analytics, so we're gathering up real-time shopper analytics, day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. And I say this in present tense because this is not aspirational, it's running now, and we're scaling it as we speak. That's the second item. And then the third item, because if you run a small convenience store in Mexico or anywhere in Latin America, you will be robbed. It's not a question of if, it's a question of time. And that's the third component, three pillars: content management, data analytics, and security, all wrapped up in a single visibility deliverable, which makes it really unique. And so what's in it for Modelorama is they get to tell the philanthropic story about how they're making their employees and franchise holders safer. They're getting data that allows them to optimize their supply chain real time from the store, and they get an advertising component which is independently monetizable. So it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win, of course. It's like a no-brainer. Let's talk about the economics. I think the fact. Okay, so I think should we start with? Okay, let's talk about the retail, then we'll go to the security side. So, okay, just to recap the economics, because this is the amazing part of the VSB story is, the revenue potential. So, Jay, walk us through the kind of the SaaS, the business model, revenue per store, and the global opportunity.
Sure. Now, I'll preface it to say that we're in the final stages of negotiation of a binding contract with Modelorama and our local partner now. So what I'm going to talk to you about is the bookends of the revenue, because I haven't gotten into a place where, even though we've done 7-year projections on this deal, there is still some conversations that will affect those numbers a little bit, but not in an enormous way, but just in modest ways. So I want to preface my comments. First of all, what you need to understand is there's two discrete revenue streams from the Grupo Modelo Modelorama deal. There's the SaaS revenue stream. We get so much per location per month as this systems deploys, and it's between $10 and $15 per store. And that is visibility revenue and only visibility revenue. The second is, you can imagine, as you build out a Modelorama network, which goes to 5,000 stores in year one, or 10,000 stores in year one, 20,000 in year two, 50,000, climbing up to 120,000 stores by the end of year 6. Over that time, that network has a certain per store value as a media location, right? As a channel. We get 33% of that media revenue because we play a critical role in delivering that media, those brands, and monetizing that media network. So together we're combining forces. Outside of the collaboration is our software as a service revenue line, and inside the collaboration is the media value, which of course has the same kind of recurring revenue and gross margins as software because it's media. So using those two parameters, on the software as a service side, the first 5 years of the contract will generate between $12 and $18 million in software as a service revenue to Visibility. On the media side, our percentage of the media value will be in the neighborhood of $100 to $120 million over the first 5 years of the deal.
Per year?
Yeah, per year. And we climb to 120. The first year it's not 120 because it's reliant upon deployment cadence, right? But as you get to, at 100,000 stores, between 100 and 100,000 stores on the SaaS side, we're $1 million, $1.5 million a month, just on that. So on the media side, it's about we climb to about 100, 120 million. The overall value of this deal to Visibility is in the first 5 years around 300 million, between 300 and 350 million, if we achieve the objectives that we expect to achieve. And the reason why I'm being cautious on that right now is the paint's yet not The paint is not yet dry on the pieces and the allocations per partner. But it's a significant opportunity, the biggest by far that the organization's ever done. And I'll hasten to add, Jack, it is a real validation that the store has independent and validatable media value. That's the most important message here, because what they're doing.
We're getting into marketing geek territory. So, but let's cover it. So the store as media. Let's basically to recap what is essentially the way the new trend is. Everybody's waking up to the fact that the eyeballs, the people walking the store. I mean, they're worth money. Besides buying, they can monetize those people, right? They can monetize. Walmart or CVS can monetize Walgreens. 1,000 people walking in a day. They're worth a lot of money to those brands. So now they're going to turn to you to show them those ads.
Well, they're worth a lot of money, not just with basic footfall. I know I'm turning into a shopper geek here, but not just basic footfall, but you're at the point of sale.
Yeah.
So in an impression delivered for a PepsiCo or for a Budweiser beer, where you can within 4 feet buy that product, is considerably more valuable than an impression delivered where you on a bus stop where you can't buy that product.
Yeah.
So the media value is not even a debate right now. It has considerable media value. It is 100% video. So think about how well YouTube does. It's because people are attracted to movement. We're incorporating video in retail so that, Jack, you may not want to look, but you're wired to look. Our brains are wired to look. You may look for 3 or 4 seconds, but in those 3 or 4 seconds, as a shopper, I can deliver to you a message. And that message will 70% of the time result in impacting or influencing your actions. That's just science.
Yeah, no. I mean, the numbers are like off the charts. So how much do you make per store? Let's go through those economics again, like with a CVS or anybody like that. Like let's per month.
Well, the Modelorama is a real great example because it's only one display. I mean, this is a 40, it's a US, well, it's a Canadian audience, so I'm going to stay with the meters. These are 30 square meter stores, 30 to 40 square meters. They're tiny.
Yeah.
So there's only one display, one. But if you go to a CVS where there's, I'm going to flip over to feet, 40,000 square foot, 50,000 square foot, there's on average 10 to 15 digital activations per store. So it's 15 times the value of a single Modelorama, as an easy math. Modelorama, we cut an aggressive deal because we wanted a piece of that back end media revenue. So we discounted our SaaS fee slightly, but now we're participating on the 33% of the back end. So it's a good deal for us overall. But you can, it's just using those Modelorama examples, if you were to take that into a CVS as an example, and you were to assume 10 activations per CVS, call it $20, $25 per activation. Now you've got $250 per CVS per month in terms of software as a service license fees. That's just one store. CVS has 10,200 stores. So if we accept that the entire retail industry understands that there's a pivot to retail as a media channel, and by the way, this is a foregone conclusion. Everybody's there right now, including the biggest brands in the world. Then you've got a multi-billion-dollar media channel, which is just asserting itself now. And we're absolutely, without any argument, on the front end of that revolution with major partners that can execute on that right now.
So essentially, this is sort of like what percentage of the market do you think Visby has in this kind of new, store as media, like in this, mind share? What percentage of the market do you have?
It's a nascent market. It's just beginning.
Sort of like the internet in 1996.
Well, I've heard that analogy several times as it relates to this initiative. Yeah. I would say it's not a stretch to say that Visibility has between 20 and 30% of the immediate addressable market.
Okay, so that's
maybe more.
Okay, that's a massive position.
If we maintain that, you can see how ridiculous it is. But I should hasten to add, WestRock, an announcement we made 6 weeks ago or so, largest display company in the world, largest. They have a multi-billion-dollar, and it's an S&P component company, right? Huge company. They own retail display. But that retail display is all analog, if you'll allow me that rough analogy.
Paper,
it's printed.
Yeah.
It's all printed, this cardboard display. And it's moving to digital. We're already in revenue with that relationship. We're super strategic, connected to C-level at that organization, and we're an exclusive partner of theirs. So the Rising Tide, I mean, they get involved in every single brand conversation because their principal relationship is with brands, and brands are driving this agenda. They don't want to buy old crap anymore. They want to buy new stuff. And that's what's driving retail to embrace this.
Yeah, so we're just it's like they're saying it's like YouTube in 2010. This is where you are now with the store as media.
In a lot of ways, it's like YouTube, right? Yeah. It's in a lot of ways, right? It was the pre-heavy monetization of YouTube, right?
So this is okay. So this is essentially it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity here. I think it's a question. It's a question of when is like a strategic buyer like a Google, could a Google, this is like you're right in Google's alley. Why wouldn't they just buy Visby and just be done with it? Because I mean this is what they need. They're always looking for new kind of new because the AI, everything what you're doing fits into their whole playbook.
I think the reason why, and this is conjecture, this is guesswork. I think the reason they wouldn't do it now is they're waiting for that initial significant deployment. And for us, I think when we're 2,000-3,000 stores down or behind us at Modelorama, listen, that's the largest media network commitment made in the Western Hemisphere, maybe in the world. And I don't know that. It's just very, very large. And the amount of attention that's on our little company as a result of that deal, and it's only at LOI right now, right? As we get to that deal in terms of real economic unit level economics, we begin to talk about that as we've done a little bit today. We're going to get more and more momentum because of that. I can tell you that subsequent to that deal, if you're in the agency business, if you're WPP, Publicis, Momentum, Geometry, and you represent brands, what you represent brands for right now is helping them buy various types of media. If we agree that store is becoming a media, those big creative agencies and who express their revenue in multi-billions of dollars are either terrified or extremely motivated, and possibly both. So since that Modelorama deal was announced, we've been contacted by the biggest players who are looking to find a strategic relationship with us so that they could go to a Unilever or a J&J and say, we've got a network, we're aligned with this company that can do all the pieces, we'd like to deploy it. So look for that to be the next step on what we're doing. It's a natural progression, right? It's exactly where these companies need to go. Because if they don't go there, it's an extermination event for them.
Yeah, no, this is it's kind of things are really lining up for Visby this year. It looks like this. I think we're getting into the I think we passed the inflection point. This is kind of where things are really starting to kind of the momentum is starting to build. So we got a couple of questions I want to get to here on Skypacket. Skypacket rolling out your SaaS to existing customers.
Yes. That's exactly the plan. And there's a big one that is not an existing customer for Skypackets, but very big, that we are strategically moving on right now. I'm not projecting success, but there's a lot of things lining up to give us good confidence.
Okay, so in terms of and so who are some of their customers for Skypackets? Who are some of their other customers?
So Google's a customer. The what's that? You're an ex-New Yorker. The Ironside neighborhood, the Times Square Alliance. I'm sorry, Flatiron District. Exactly right. A Flatiron District business improvement, Times Square business improvement, Google, Vancouver, Yaletown, right here where I live, is a customer. So what they do is they build municipal networks, and for Wi-Fi 6, as we talked about earlier. And now, as we layer on applications, security and retail analytics are applications. They're going to be driving more value on that network that they've already deployed.
Are they the ones that build those like kind of like things that's on the street that have like the sign, they got the display, and they get the Wi-Fi? I don't know what they're called, the smart city thing. What do they call it?
So that's the category.
Okay.
They've done them in several locations, but yeah, that's the category. In New York City, you're an ex-New Yorker. That's Intersection, that is now owned by Google Sidewalk, that have done those installations.
Oh, Sidewalk, Google Sidewalk. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So essentially, what you're doing is, your technology could be plugged into that system for the AI aspect in terms of, targeting ads, in terms of the security, all that stuff.
Advertising is all about impression counting. So we count people, but we also get demographic. We get deeper data than you would ever get when browsing a website, if you know what I mean. It's the data. Somebody just said the data. I was about to say that. It's the data that's the valuable piece. And that's a long bow, right? Because you have to build up that data archive before it becomes valuable. And we're building it up right now.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Jay, to wrap up, things are really starting to cook here. I mean, it's like there's sort of a momentum. I could just feel as like a momentum building. These things are more and more impressive. So what else? What do you have in store for 2021? I just realized this is our first interview of 21, right? This is our first.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first. This has been a busy month. I just realized this is. So what is Visby's? What's the big? What's the big theme for 2021? If you have to put one word, if you have to use one word to describe Visby in 2021, what is it?
It would be three, I think. Large collaboration, which is bigger than anything we've ever done before. Commercial collaboration. I mean, I'm excited about co-development. We've benefited from co-development, but I get really excited about commercial offerings, collaborative commercial offerings, where we're the company responsible for delivering the secret sauce, and the company we're aligned with will help us get to market. I said this before, that's a force multiplier. That's a phrase I've used before. That's exactly what our partners are. And for the first time, we're going to be having, we're going to have a couple of announcements connected to us aligning with very well-known brand names that allow us to go global. That's number one. And two elements of the business. Number two is a pivot to solution sets that apply to critical infrastructure. We're computer vision. And if you run an oil and gas refinery, or if you run a solar farm, or if you run a nuclear plant, you have unique security challenges. And think about the things that computer vision can do. We have 100 algorithms in the library, Jack. Go and shop your algorithms, pick the ones you want, and we'll be able to apply them into cameras that allow you to protect your critical infrastructure. And because of that, we can also connect IoT sensors. And I don't want to get too geeky, but if you run a solar farm, for example, you're worried about your panels getting out of operating range because they burn out. So we can add to our capability, thermal capability, that shows you when your panels are outside of operating parameters. Now as I said before, now we're delivering operational benefit, not just security benefit. And the broader we can go into that stack of capabilities, the more successful we're going to be. That's number two. And then number three is, you said this before, that's our pivot to profitability, which we're projecting this year.
Okay, it's interesting. You mentioned the force multiplier. I mean, the partnerships you have. I mean, that get you into all these places. They're very significant. You got Sensormatic. We didn't even talk about Sensormatic. That gets you into all the retail stores. You have the Skypackets guys. You got Intel. I mean, you got a lot of pretty serious partners at this point.
It's good and bad, right? It's good because aligning with the big boys, they can give you distribution and reach you could never get yourself. That's the good. The bad is they call the audible. They call the cadence. They tell you when to snap the ball. And so that is partly the problem. It's just you got to be patient. And that's difficult for me but I understand. I mean, I'm prepared to take off. I'm prepared to deal with the trade-off, particularly with a couple of the big ones that have enormous crystallizing value for visibility. They're ahead of us. Look up ABI. You know, we signed the letter of intent with them in early December. We'll probably have our contract with them done and disclosed by the end of this month. And then, of course, as that grows and gathers steam, we'll be able to talk in more, disclosive terms about that deal. But they govern it, right? We don't govern it. We try to, and to the extent that we can, we do. But that's part of the downside.
Okay, Jay. Top 3 reasons why investors should consider VSB today.
Well, I mean, I stepped on all 3 of them, but just by summary, number 1, it's an old term, but inflection. We're pivoting to profitability this year, and that's, we all look our careers for. You don't want to be too early for the party, or too late for the party. You want to be just as it's beginning, and I think that's where we are. The second thing is the security market itself, and I've never talked this way before, or at least highlighted this particular topic is shifting to AI in a big way. And we are, particularly with some of the stuff we have right in front of us in terms of announcements, development-based announcements, we're going to be a major player in the AI space when it relates to camera-based AI. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is we're beginning to get a pretty reliable deal momentum cadence that we never had in 2020. And I think that's on the retail side because it's buoyed by the embracing of store as media, and it's also on the security side as we get more and more deployments underway.
One thing I forgot to even bring up. One of the guys you have in the company is a former. Speaking of the security side, you have a former FBI guy, right? What's his name?
Jeff Mueller, not only former FBI, but one of the founding member of the CBRNE, Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear, and Explosives Task Force, and the guy that started the Critical Infrastructure Group at the FBI. So, based on my earlier comments, you can imagine he's played an important role in our cultivating and filtering of our go-to-market for critical infrastructure.
Excellent. Okay. On that note, Jay, thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody for joining today's live stream, and we will catch you on the next, hopefully very soon.
Thank you, Jack. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Over and out. See ya.